Now you want me to be clairvoyant and read the White House's mind and write a letter before they tell us something?
Nothing prevented you from seeking these materials from the White House
is known for
months, Mr. Chairman. For months.
I'm not a mind reader.
And I thank you for making a very clean record for any court that will look at this.
The gentleman from North Carolina said
an accommodation
months ago the White House could have raised the concern, and they didn't.
These documents. Because your first move, of course, is to go right to contempt. Ironically, of course, for a chairman who was in contempt of his own subpoena.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
We're still waiting for you to testify and meet the obligations of your own subpoena, Mr. Chairman.
Folks, if you value accountability and transparency in Washington, you need to hit that like button and subscribe right now. Because the deep state's obstruction game was just exposed on the House Judiciary Committee floor. Chairman Jim Jordan went head-to-head with Adam Schiff, and the sheer audacity of the Democrats' defense of the status quo is truly stunning. We're going to break down the facts that the mainstream media is trying to ignore. Let's dive in.
Gentleman from California withdraws a point of order who seeks recognition. Gentleman from California is recognized.
Mr. Chairman, much as I don't like certain parts of the Mazars decision, it clearly applies in this case, and the committee is required to engage with the White House in order to seek an accommodation over materials held by a private party, as they were in the Mazars case, and seek to resolve this with the White House. So I would ask unanimous consent that we enter into the record your correspondence to the White House.
Objection.
Seeking to engage them to resolve this. And I thank the chairman for not objecting. Can you produce that correspondence to the White House asking for accommodation on these materials you've sought by this subpoena?
First time they reached out to us was 2 days ago.
Yes, and of course the author expressed the concern that these materials may implicate interests of the executive. I think that was weeks ago. But having admitted without dissent your correspondence to the White House, can you produce that for us where you have sought an accommodation, where you've sought to work this out with the White House? Can you share that with us since that is now part of the record?
Well, I thought you had it. You wanted to enter it into the record.
I do. I presume that, knowing your responsibilities, you have sought to engage the White House. So,
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
Produce the
recognized for point of order.
I think a unanimous consent request to submit something to the record is where the person who's asking for the floor is the proponent of submitting information that member has. I don't believe it's appropriate to ask a unanimous consent request to engage in a colloquy over discovering information or obtaining information from another member of the committee.
Great, and that's why I said that no objection to the unanimous consent request. If the gentleman from California wants to talk about that and present it to us, God bless him. He's allowed to do it in 5 minutes.
I would like clarification from the chairman. Does this mean that there is no correspondence from you to the White House seeking accommodation on this material?
We've had all kinds of correspondence with the White House on this broad subject relative to the Zwanitzer and the letter we got 2 days ago. We've not corresponded with the White House yet. If we will, we may. That's a decision we'll make.
And you have not corresponded with the White House seeking accommodation ever since the author who you are subpoenaing and seeking to hold in contempt articulated the view that there was executive interest and potential privilege over this material. You haven't sought to engage over the weeks since you received that communication?
We have not engaged with the White House since the letter on the 25th of this month, 2 days ago.
And prior to that time, did you engage the White House in an effort to obtain these materials?
All kinds of engagements with our counsel and counsel.
I'm talking about
the Justice Department and White House with our counsel over the last several months relative to the special counsel
this subpoena, Mr. Chairman. Did you engage with the White House at any time in the last several weeks since issuing this subpoena, the one you want to hold this witness in contempt for? Did you ever engage with the White House in an effort to accommodate, an effort to reach an agreement, an effort to prevent this from having to be litigated? Did you ever write any correspondence, make any call to the White House seeking to engage, seeking to get these materials that you're seeking from the author instead from the White House? Did you ever do that, Mr. Chairman?
We're seeking documents from a private individual who I might add tried to destroy the evidence.
I guess the question is, I guess the answer is no.
Since 2 days ago.
The answer is no.
The answer is since 2 days ago, I have not.
I'm not asking the question about since 2 days ago, although nothing prevented you.
That's when they first raised the concern.
Nothing prevented you from writing a letter within the last 2 days or reaching out to the White House before the.
Americans want safer streets, affordable gas, and freedom.
Instead, Democrats give us record crime levels, record inflation, and another bill attacking President Trump, sponsored by the guy who spent years misleading the Congress and, more importantly, the country on Trump-Russia investigation, on Mueller investigation, on impeachments. Remember when the sponsor of the bill said that his office didn't meet with the whistleblower? Found out that wasn't true. Remember when the sponsor of the bill told us that we would hear from the whistleblower during impeachment? We'd actually have real process instead of having hearings and depositions in the basement, in the bunker of the Capitol. Remember when the sponsor told us this? That there was more than circumstantial evidence that President Trump colluded with Russia? That turned out to be false. Bob Mueller said it was false. Everyone knew it was false. In fact, it was such baloney, even the Washington Post has had to retract and change things from stories because they said, oh, yeah, there was a lot of false information in that dossier that they used to go spy on President Trump's campaign. And I think this is important to understand. The sponsor of this legislation wasn't just any member of Congress, Mr. Speaker. He wasn't just any chairman of a committee in Congress. He was the chairman of the Intelligence Committee, the committee that gets additional information from anyone else in the country making those claims that were not accurate. So maybe instead of having another bill that attacks President Trump because Democrats are afraid he's going to run and he's going to win in 2024, so they want to do everything they can to attack him, maybe instead of another bill attacking President Trump, we should actually focus on things that the American people care about. You know, you can attack President Trump all you want. I know one thing. A year ago, the border was secure. Sure was. A year ago, cities were safe, safer than they are today. A year ago, we didn't have a 31-year high inflation. We actually had wages going up, real wages. A year ago, we didn't have a Department of Justice attacking moms and dads, putting a label, a designation, a threat tag on parents who simply go to school board meetings and speak out against a racist, hate America curriculum. No, we didn't have that a year ago. But you guys can keep attacking the president all you want, not addressing the issues that the American people care about. We're going to speak about the issues they care about. We're going to try to do everything we can to slow down your crazy agenda that is driving up the price of everything. We're going to speak out against and do everything we can to make sure the Department of Justice quits attacking parents. God bless the whistleblower who came forward and gave us the information, sent from the Counterterrorism Division of the FBI. We could be dealing with that issue today. We could be holding the Attorney General accountable, the Justice Department accountable for what they're doing. No. We're going to attack President Trump again. Democrats, that's the only thing they can do because they can't talk about anything else. I hope we defeat this.
What we witnessed this week was Adam Schiff attempting a classic, pathetic political stall tactic. He invoked some obscure legal precedent, the Mazur decision, to claim that Jim Jordan and the committee must effectively go beg the Biden White House for an accommodation before they can hold a private individual in contempt. Think about that. Schiff is desperately trying to wrap a private citizen, a key author who we know has tried to undermine the facts in the cloak of presidential privilege. This isn't about a legal nicety. It's about protecting their allies from accountability. Schiff was on a fishing expedition, demanding Jordan produce a letter proving he consulted with the White House. He was trying to create political theater. But Jordan wasn't having it. The chairman pointed out the absolute key fact that destroys Schiff's entire argument. The White House only formally raised a concern about executive interest 2 days before this contentious hearing. 2 days. Schiff demanded to know why Jordan hadn't reached out in the weeks since the author first mentioned a potential issue. Jordan had to school him, asking, "Now you want me to be clairvoyant?" Jordan is right. The committee is seeking documents from a private actor. You don't need to negotiate over documents until the executive branch formally asserts a privilege. Until then, it's a delay tactic. The goal of the House Judiciary Committee is simple: get to the bottom of the special counsel's conduct and ensure transparency. Schiff's strategy is equally simple: Force litigation. Tie up the investigation in court for months or years, effectively running out the clock until the information is useless. This entire procedural ambush confirms that the establishment, with Schiff leading the charge, will use every trick in the book to protect the system and stop the truth from coming out. And just when you thought Schiff couldn't stoop lower, he resorted to a personal attack, bringing up Chairman Jordan's own previous refusal to testify, a totally irrelevant historical point thrown in solely to distract from his failed legal argument. This is what we have come to expect from the party of obstruction. They have no case, so they throw mud. Chairman Jordan is fighting for all of us, and the principle that no one is above accountability. The fact that Schiff repeatedly pointed out that Jordan's actions create a clean record for any court tells you that Jordan is following the necessary process, and the left is simply terrified of the result. Patriots, this hearing confirmed that the fight for transparency is happening right now, and the left is united against it. We need to stand strong with Chairman Jordan. Demand that your representatives stop this obstruction and prioritize accountability over political games. Share this video everywhere. Let's make sure the truth can't be covered up. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.